Okay, I have 3 questions in here. The first question is, Venerable, how to avoid controlling the breath when observing it? We're not telling you to control your breath, but you say how to avoid controlling the breath when observing it. You just observe it. Why do you control it? Say, if I'm observing the smoke coming up, I just observe the smoke coming up. Why do I have to blow it? Why do I have to sweep it away? I don't have to do anything to control the breath. Unless you are at a stage that you know intrinsically that by doing it in a certain way, you know it's going to work out better for you. That's something else. That's at another level. You're adjusting your breath. For example, when you are in sleepiness, you want your breath to be shorter so that you're more active and beat out the sluggishness. Well, that is, you use certain ways to avoid going to sleep. Or when you are so agitated that your thoughts wandering all over the place. Or then you may want to make your breath a little longer so you settle down. That's when you control it. But if you're not at that stage, why do you want to control it? Just observe it. Just see it. You don't want to control it. Just observe your breath in and out and in and out and in and out. You don't need to control it. How to avoid controlling the breath? If you want to control your breath, unless you're at that stage where you know the proper adjustments, you're like a mountain. When the clouds drift by, you don't want to control the clouds. You will just let it drift by, let it go. Just see it go. When it comes, don't resist it. Say, don't come, don't come, don't come. No. Just let it come, let it go. Let it come and let it go. Let go. Let what comes in go out. You don't say, don't come. Say, if you are observing it and suddenly there is a sensuous desire in your mind, you say, I want to kill that desire. Why do I have that desire? You don't need to do that. You just let this desire go. You cannot kill objects. You cannot kill your object of attention. You can only let it go. Similarly, you cannot stop the cloud from drifting by you. You are that mountain not going anywhere. You just let it go. You don't go with the clouds. If the cloud of greediness comes, you go with greediness, then you become greedy. If the cloud of depression comes, overwhelming you, you go with depression, then you become depressive. So you don't go with it. You just watched it come out. A greediness desire comes, I don't want to attach to it. I want to let it flow out. Let what comes in go out. Can you do that? You just do that. You don't have to control it. Is that the kind of answer that you want? Next question. Buddhism discourages emotions. I don't know if you use the word discourages. Buddhism would let go of emotions. But if you mean that way, it's okay. What about love, which is very important emotion for our survival, especially for very young children? There is a difference between love and compassion. Sometimes love, that word love, quote unquote love, could be a misnomer. Love has 2 sides to it, like the 2 sides of a coin. If love is properly exercised and properly applied, that could be love that leads to goodness. If love is not properly applied, it's one-sided, it's hatred, it's conditional, it could lead to tragedies, it could lead to homicide, suicide. It could lead to many, many bad consequences if love, if not properly handled, if not properly observed, is not properly understood and properly interpreted. On the other hand, if love is properly interpreted, it's different. If love is not properly interpreted and handled, for example, if you love the child so much that you spoil him. Oh, Sonny, I love you. Whatever you want, I give it to you. I just want to make you happy. You want to snatch that toy away from sister? Go ahead, as long as you're happy. That is spoiling the child. Your love is to spoil the child. You're not properly handling love. So love is like a boat. Or love is like a water, for example. The water can float a boat, and it can also sink a boat. It depends on how you apply to it. So when we say love is a very important emotion for our survival. Depends on how you handle it. In the Buddhist teaching, we don't call that love. We call that compassion. Compassion is unconditional. Love is conditional. So if the husband loves the wife, and the wife said, I don't love you, then the husband may hate her. Because the love has to be reciprocated. If the love is not reciprocated, hatred may come out from one side. You receive it and you want to give it, you expect love to be returned to you. That's conditional. You know how the Bodhisattvas help sentient beings to relieve them from suffering? There's no conditions. When Mother Teresa went out to the city, to town, to save all those patients of leprosy, to save patients who are dying, to save patients that are not related to her, that's compassion. That's not love. It's unconditional. She didn't know the patients. It's just she was sick, and she brought him to the hospital, set up a charitable hospital. So you have to properly handle love, and don't use the misnomer meaning of love. Love has so much meaning to it. The meaning that I'm talking about now is the temporal meaning of love, the worldly meaning of love. And you have to know the transcendent meaning of love. What is that transcendent meaning of love? This is something that is inconceivable, beyond your conception. Love is brought forward from previous life. That conditional love is brought forward from previous life. Say, I'll give you an example. Husband and wife in previous life. And they went through the marriage. And somehow, after 15 years, the wife betrayed the husband. The wife of another person. And then the husband became so sad that he killed himself, committed suicide. And on the verge of death, he said, I hated that woman. I gave her all the love, and he betrayed me. He had this third party that I hate. So he died of hatred. In the next life, maturity comes when they were reborn again in a situation in another life where they met again. This time they came together to be husband and wife. The husband probably became the woman, and the woman became the man. It's just they married again. And now, the previous husband betrayed the previous wife. So they have unfinished karma that they haven't finished, that they brought forward to this life. They may kill each other. They have unfinished debts, unfinished liabilities. Some people have unfinished assets, you know? But you're always thinking of, if you're an accountant, you always think of the general ledger. You always have to balance the liability, the debit and the credit. You have to get it balanced. All this is conditional. All this love is because of unfinished business that you get into that love. You call it love. Same applies to children. There are four reasons generally that your children become your children. You owe them money. They want to get your money. That's monetary. You owe them emotions. They come to get your emotions. Or they repay you the money, or they repay you with the emotions. When you owe them money, he come to be your son, you have to supply to him. You have to give him the money, you have to educate him, and he betrayed you. You wanted him to be well at school. He became so rebellious that he couldn't study. He wouldn't listen to you. You get all the tutors and the mentors to mentor him. He couldn't do it. You just spent all the money to nurture him, and he wouldn't do well because you just want your money back. On the other hand, if he came to repay you, then he became a very obedient son with a lot of filial piety. He loved you so much. He always wanted to think about you. He always wanted to care for you because he come to repay you. And some come to kill you. Have you heard of sons and daughters killing their own parents? They come back to kill you. Some come back to love you. Some come back to kill you. Some come back to get the money because you owe them money. Some come back to pay you the emotions. They love you so much because you love him. In previous life, you have some unfinished business, unfinished karma. And you call that love? Your son loved you, or your son did not love you. It's all karmic. Look at it objectively. It's not love. It's unfinished bad debts, unfinished liabilities, unfinished assets that you have to pay, or you have to repay, or you have to receive. I have a friend. She had a daughter in Hong Kong. She spent so much time to nurture and educate the daughter. I knew that she was driving her daughter to school every morning, and because she really wanted to educate her daughter, so she got mentor, and she also wanted her daughter to study at the back of her car. Okay, study page 1, chapter 1. I want you to be good students. So this daughter always studied. The daughter became a very studious, very good, an A-class student, always number 1 in class. Because of the nurturing, because of the education, because of her mother's encouragement and all that. The mother had done tremendous efforts to improve. They're rich people. They're from a well-to-do family. And finally, the daughter got a scholarship to study at UCLA, law. At that time, scholarship to law school, not easy, especially a Chinese. A Chinese studying in Hong Kong, English as a second language, getting a full scholarship, studying at law in the States, not easy. So she went there to study. And after graduation, after working for 1 year in a law firm, he became the first judge, the Chinese judge in the history of America. The daughter, a female. And right after 1 year, she committed suicide. The mother spent so much money, so much love on her, and at the age of 32, she passed away. The mother was so grief-stricken that she passed away 2 months later. So she spent a lot of love. When she got enough, she's gone. And the daughter didn't treat her well too. A lot of stories like that. It's okay I didn't mention the names to you, otherwise I'll be what do you call that? Slandering people. So don't think of love as something that is great because of love. Compassion is important, not love. Compassion is unconditional. Compassion is not because of previous karmic energy that brought you here. Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, giving compassion to all people who are in need of help. Bodhisattva Siddhigarbha, he went down to hell to help victims of hell unconditionally. Render the compassion, not love. Not love. But what about love, which is very important in emotions? But then, after that being said, don't despise love. Don't criticize love. Don't belittle love. If your children come to get you, repay it. You have to repay it. Repay it with with compassion. You're happy to repay it because you owe that much money. If he is coming to repay you, receive it with thanks, with gratitude. Thank you very much, Tom. You've been a very nice son to me, and I'm your dad, and really, you're really good. I mean, receive it with the right attitude. No hatred, no attachment. Well, whatever comes, good or bad, just take it. If your husband's mistreated you, if you and your husbands always don't agree, or actually you don't love him and he loves you, he doesn't love him, it's because of all this love affair that's involved into this lifetime. Paid it up, and after you paid it, you go. Now, after the love affair is all balanced, one party has to go. One party has to go anyway. You started with one person, you get into a marriage, then you become married, you got two persons in the family, then you have children, you have 3 children, then you have 5 people in the family, and then as time goes on, aging and sickness and death, you wind up with yourself. And after a while, you wind up with nothing. You come to this world naked with a cry, you go away without taking anything away. You can't take your money with you, you can't take your bank account with you, you can't take your diamond rings, nothing you can bring with you when you died, except your karma. Whatever you have done, you can't get away with it. All the bad deeds you have done, the karmic energy, you brought them along. So very careful with what you have done. You can't get away with karmic energy. You think you betray someone and that's okay because, or you hurt someone and the police couldn't get you? Causation will get you. You have done something nice and say, he didn't realize you've done something nice to him. Whatever nice thing you have done is in causation. You get good return. Nobody really have to know it. Whatever good deeds you have done, you will get good results. Nobody has to give you a recognition. You don't need the recognition. For that reason, I've done something nice. I don't want my name to be published. And I don't want to be standing under the limelight to get photographs of how great I am. I don't need to do that. I have no attachment. Done something nice, it's okay. You don't need I acquired some reputation. I acquired all this status. The reason why I become a philanthropist is because I want people to recognize me as someone who is charitable. You don't need that. You can't go away with your money. You know what you should do? Do all the charity work with your money. If you just retain your money for your younger generations, it won't, unless you owe them, it won't do you any good. Put them to charity use. Your son may blame me because my dad wants to give me his house. And now you're telling my dad to sell his house and get all the proceeds to do charity work? Next question. Steve Jobs, the creator of Apple, claims that he had taken the drug LSD. It helped him in his spiritual growth. Can you talk about the relationship between drugs and spirituality? I remember there was a case like that. There was a guy who had a kind of skin disease, and his skin is always black with a little poison on the epidermis level, and he had poison since many years ago, since childhood. And when he was about 16 or 17, one day he was working in the field, and he was poisoned by a bee, a very strange bee. And he paralyzed. And then when he woke up, all his skin disease is gone. Because the poison takes away the poison. That's why some herbal medicine doctor says, sometimes you can use poison to take away poison. And coincidentally, that boy stung by the bumblebee recovered from a skin disease because coincidentally that helped him. I have a lot of doubts about this question. Is that when Steve Jobs said that LSD helped him, did you study in detail how did it help him? Is it coincidental? Drugs is supposed to be not good for you. LSD, the bad effects of drugs are almost scientific. It's been proven that drugs have a lot of bad effects. However, some drugs have good effects on some sickness. But mostly drugs are bad. So if you say that the LSD helped him in the spiritual growth, maybe he has something that LSD would poison his poison in his body, that it became more spiritual. Well, I don't know. Don't use that as a blind example that apply to you. It works for him, but if you do that, you kill yourself. I know there's a book called Drugs and Spirituality. You read about that book. If you use poison against poison, it may not work for you. Quite dangerous. Today I thank Amitabha and you. Last Saturday I had cries, emergency. Your teaching helped me, and the little audio tape with chanting guides me through. Instead of crying, I kept on thinking of what you say. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes a few words could be quite useful to, not just my words, a few words could be quite useful to you when you're in need. But we should know that this is the year of the monkey. Start a new agenda. If you always spend the same time as you were doing things last year, it may not be good for you. A new agenda that you want to explore, the spiritual journey to take you into enlightenment, to take you into a higher level of understanding. Not just acquiring wealth, become better job, better house, better car. Not just that. Materiality would not make you happy. It may satisfy some of your material needs, but it will not make you happy. The spiritual part of it may lead you to somewhere, may lead you to enlightenment and nirvana.